This lecture is on density. Density is a derived unit that measures a substance's mass over its corresponding volume. The equation for density is d for density equals m, or mass, over v, or volume. The density of a substance is determined by the value and noticeable by where it is shown in the mixture. More dense substances are at the bottom, and less dense substances float towards the top. The units for density are as follows. Solids are in units of grams per cubic centimeter, liquids are in units of grams per milliliter, and gases are in units of grams per liter. To the right are examples of some common solids, liquids, and gases, and their densities. Solving density problems may be presented in any of these ways. 1. Volume by displacement. 2. Mass by displacement. 3. Determining the density by known mass and measuring volume. 4. Using density as a conversion factor. Problem 1 is one involving volume by displacement and is: a student in a chemistry class was performing an experiment determining the density of an unknown solid. The mass of the rod was 149.30 grams. The left 100 ml graduated cylinder only had the water fluid, and the right 100 ml graduated cylinder has the object present. Determine the density of the solid in grams per ml. Given that the initial volume was 25 ml, the final volume is 44 ml, and the mass is 149.30 grams. In order to find density, we need to find the volume of the liquid, which is delta V equals V final minus V initial. Density equals mass divided by volume. The solution map is mass volume goes to density. First, it is found that the volume of the liquid is 19 ml. Read always the volume of the liquid at the meniscus of the cylinder. The density of this liquid is by taking 149.30 grams, its mass, and divide by 19 ml, the volume, for a final density value of 7.86 G per ml. Problem 2 is one involving mass by displacement and is: a student performed measuring the density of an unknown liquid by mass by difference. In an empty 25 ml Erlenmeyer flask, it weighed on a top loading balance 29.25 G. After adding 10 ml of an unknown liquid with a 10 ml volumetric pipette, the mass of the flask and liquid was 38.51 G. Determine the density of this liquid in G per ml. It is given that the mass of the empty flask was 29.25 grams, the mass of the flask plus liquid was 30.51 grams, and the volume is 10 ml. To solve for density, we need the mass of the liquid by calculating delta M, which equals M final minus M initial. Density equals mass divided by volume. The solution map is mass volume to density. The mass of the liquid is 30.51 G minus 29.25 G equals 9.26 grams. The density of the liquid is by taking 9.26 grams and dividing by 10 ml for a final density of 0.926 grams per ml. The third example is determining the density of a geometric shape, a sphere. Sometimes one can determine the density of an object if one knows its dimensions. To the right is a picture of a sphere where the radius is 3.6 cm. The mass of the sphere is 58.44 G. Calculate the density of this sphere in G per cubic cm. Volume of the sphere equals 4/3 times pi r cubed. Note pi equals 3.14 to 3 SF. Given the mass of the sphere is 58.44 grams, the radius is 3.6 cm, and volume of a sphere equals 4/3 times pi r cubed. The solution map is mass volume to density. In order to solve for the density of the sphere, one needs to first find the volume of the sphere, where once the radius is plugged into the volume equation, the volume of the sphere is 195.4231958 cubic centimeter. The density of the sphere is, after plugging in the mass and volume of the sphere, is 0.30 grams per cubic centimeter. The last problem is using density as a conversion factor, and it reads the density of silver is 10.49 G per cubic cm. If a sample of pure silver has a volume of 12.993 cubic cm, what is the mass in grams? Given the volume is 12.993 cubic cm and density of silver is 10.49 G per cubic cm, in order to find mass, one needs to rearrange the density equation as to solve for mass. So since density equals mass divided by volume, and if one multiplies both sides by volume to get mass, equals density times volume. The solution map is volume density to mass. The solution is, after multiplying the volume of 12.993 cubic cm times its density of 10.49 G per cm cubed, equals 136.3 grams. Here are some review exercises for you to try. Solve each of the following problems. 1. The mass of a toy spoon is 7.5 grams and its volume is 3.2 ml. What is the density of the toy spoon? 2. The density of lead is 11.342 G per ml. What will be the volume of a 200.0 G sample of this metal? 3. What is the mass of a 350 cubic cm sample of pure silicon with a density of 2.336 G per cubic cm? For the remaining part of this lecture are solutions to review exercise or problems. Please view only after completing these exercises.